Puerto Galera is a beautiful place. Quaint outrigger boats float on a tranquil blue bay, edged by white sand beaches. A wide range of sea life exists below, including basketball-sized sea anemones whose poisonous spikes cause convulsions on contact. And, every so often, the rare parrotfish, which has been nearly hunted to extinction. While most of the coral has either been dynamited or poisoned, what remains is spectacular. The beautiful mountains rise improbably from the edge of the water like an impossible dreamscape. The Maoist revolutionaries who live up there have a long history of clashes with the police, including an ambush in 2006 that killed almost 50 officers. But the retaliatory attacks by the police caused enough damage that now the Maoists generally avoid direct conflicts with the authorities. Instead, they go around to poor people in the hills and sing songs to them about how everything is going to be great when the revolution comes. For income, the Maoists charge the local cell phone providers a revolutionary tax. If it's not paid, the Maoists threaten to blow up the cell phone towers. But so far it hasn't come to that, because the companies have paid up, in spite of several sharp increases in the revolutionary tax rate. Indeed, the Maoists of the area are quite peaceful and quaint, especially when compared to the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or MILF, located further south. While the twin forces of crushing poverty and the Catholic Church's strict stance against birth control would drive most people into terminal depression, the people of Puerto Galera remain warm and welcoming. While it's unfortunate that many of their daughters are forced into the sex trade by poverty, a reasonable number of them find permanent relationships with one of the many white expatriates who call the island home. Being married to a foreigner is probably the best defense against the ever-present threat of food shortages. Corruption runs deep through all government and public agencies, but luckily, the local authorities remain relatively ineffectual, which means that bribing them isn't a high priority for anyone wishing to skirt the law. When Mayor Hubert Delors took office, he decided to take a bold and unpopular stance and enact helmet laws for motorcyclists. He made the case for rider safety and how many deaths and injuries this would prevent. But any regulation is considered unfair regardless of motive, and the people did not approve of his plan. Still, Mayor Delors worked the politics of the city council and police force like a champ and got the law enacted. Shortly thereafter, a group of robbers started going around on motorcycle wearing body armor and helmets that obscured their faces. They would pull up beside some tourist walking on the road and rob them at shotgun point. As a result, there's now a mandatory no helmet law. Anyone caught wearing a helmet will be fined. The dogs that live in the area are mostly scavengers and generally quite happy. A few years ago, there was a big outcry locally about the dogs, declaring them a blight and saying they were a threat to the local tourism industry. The city council took the matter up directly by going out and shooting the dogs. I would imagine they put signs over the corpses of the dead dogs to take credit for their kills, the same way they put signs up highlighting everything they can possibly claim any credit for having done. Achieving anything as a politician in this place calls for a monument. The whole dog cull ended soon enough, though, not because it was a senseless act of violence, but because the members of the city council felt that they shouldn't have to pay for their own ammunition, since they were doing a service for the city. They were told that it wasn't in the budget, and they decided that it wasn't worth their personal expense. Now the dogs roam free and happy on the beaches. Still, Puerto Galera is a gorgeous place and an excellent tourist destination. You can slather yourself in oil and fry to a crisp on one of the beautiful beaches, inches away from the lovely and treacherous water. Or find yourself a very young girl available for a modest price and bask in her limitless devotion to you. There's also a lovely market loaded with all kinds of exotic and endangered sea creatures to eat, and fresh meat stored in unhygienic conditions. Or take a ride on one of the charming handmade jeepneys available for transport. Just pray that you don't get in an accident.